Alright, so I'm going to show how to open up and disassemble this HP laptop. Let's see if I can find the model number. So first we're going to slide both of these in towards the center to release the battery. And the model number is a 17-F233CL. Sorry, it's hard to read that. Super tiny. Alright. Battery model or battery is here. Model I think VI04, or that might be a VL04. I think it's might be VI actually. And there's an HP spare part number here, 756478-851. So if you need to replace the battery, then that's what the model number is. All right, so let's go ahead and see here first. The customer told me that it was having a fan issue, so I'm going to check that real quick. I might have to respond to some messages soon first from customers. Oh shoot, I think they also have a screen issue. This thing is kind of coming out. Wow, the hinges on this is way too tight. That's kind of scary. But anyways, they asked me to fix the fan issue, so let's see. So it has a battery alert warning. I'm gonna press enter to continue. I hear the fan noise, and it's giving a system fan error as well. So it gave a fan warning issue, and it's also giving it also gave a battery warning issue. So here you can see the fan one. Cooling fan's not operating correctly. So we're going to try and repair this fan. So I'm going to turn off the computer. Okay. Oh man, I'm getting a bunch of messages right now. So give me a second and I'll be back. I'll see you guys in a bit. Alright, sorry about that, I'm back. So again, this thing, the fan was making noises, so we're going to take it apart and see if we can actually fix this fan. So we're going to need a PH1 or JS1 screwdriver, and then we're also going to have to remove some hidden screws under here. So let's slide the battery out. Okay, first you have to unlock this one, and then you can slide this one. Again, we're going to use a PH1 JS1 screwdriver, and then we're also going to have to use a tool to get this out. So you can use whatever works. I'm going to try with this thin pry tool. If that doesn't work, I'm going to have to use a flathead screwdriver. So let's try and pop this rubber foot out here. Okay, looks like it's working. There we go. You can see we got the rubber foot, and there is the adhesive stuck under there. So if you are going to do that, make sure that the adhesive is going to remain intact so you can put the rubber piece back. Either that, or you're going to have to get some new adhesive. Alright, so keep the screws in order. The way I do that is I put them face down with the flat side on my desk. In the pattern I remove them. Alright, and that helps me keep it in order. Okay, so let's go ahead and remove all these screws. Okay. And usually I'll take them out in rows, so I'll count that as the same row. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in this row, just like that. That's how I would do it. Actually, there's one more here, and there's probably one more there, so actually 7 screws in this row. Okay. Alright, 3. Oh, there's no screw there. Actually, there's no screws on those, so sorry. There's only 6 screws here, or actually 5. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. 1 under there. So let's go ahead and get under here. If you want to make it easier, you can go ahead and count this as a 7th one in this row or 6th one in that row. However, makes it easier for you. All right, so this part, there's the adhesive in the way, so I'm going to use the needle here and try and pull that up out of the way. Okay, just like that, so I can leave the adhesive in there. Okay. All right. Again, whatever makes it easier for you to remember, go ahead and keep it in that pattern. All right, if you're just removing the optical drive, you only have to remove this one screw here. Once you remove that screw, you can actually pull the CD drive out here. I don't know if they're hiding some screws under here. I think there's one here. We'll see if there's one here. I'm going to use this needle here and get underneath, and we'll see. Okay, so we're going to try and pop this up, and there's no screw under there. So no screw under this little plastic piece. I think this might be where they do the plastic injection molding or something. So they cover it. Either that, or that's just a way that they know that you opened it. I don't know. Can be a combination. So we're going to get the one out of here. Okay. These pieces are a little bit tricky to get out, and usually they end up getting like little nicks or dents in it. I don't know if there's an easier way. Wow, this screw was actually already loose in there. It was already just out, stuck to that. Okay, so let's go ahead and remove these 2 screws here. Right. Again, once you remove this screw, you can remove the CD drive. The way I do that, I just use my fingernail here and then I go up and down to pull it out. If you don't have fingernails, you can use like a folded out paper clip to push in here, eject the CD drive or CD tray, and then you can use that to pull it out. Or you can just turn it on. So here you can see where the screw holds the CD tray in place, or CD drive in place. There's 2 screws under here. I believe these are PH0 or JS0, so you want to switch the screwdriver tip. You don't want to use that one or you'll damage these screws and you won't be able to get them out. Okay, again, we switch to a PH0 or JS0 screwdriver. All right, so let's go ahead and remove these 2 screws. Just like that. Okay, then we're going to switch back to the PH1 or JS1 and let's go ahead and remove the 4 screws along here. Okay. 1, 2. If your screwdriver isn't magnetic and you can't get the screws out, you can easily magnetize your screwdriver. Just get a strong magnet and then rub the tip of your screwdriver on it and it will actually magnetize the screwdriver. Okay, so we'll get all these screws out. Or if you have a small enough magnet, you can just use that to get in there and pull the screw out. So as you can see, the screw doesn't want to come out, so let's try with the magnet. And there you go. So you can use like a small magnet like this in case your screwdriver isn't strongly magnetized enough. All right, then we're going to remove the 4 or 5 screws down here. Hopefully this fan will be repairable because otherwise we're going to have to order replacement parts. The customer asked about the battery as well, but I showed them that they could actually easily replace the battery, so they don't need me to order that. Okay. Alright, last one. Okay, so now we got all those screws out. Let's go ahead and, actually we need to pop these little black covers off first because they hide screws under here usually. So let's see here. So we're gonna go ahead and try and pop this cover off. Let's see how it comes out. Okay, so you gotta start from down here and then you gotta pull this up, it looks like. Let's see here, it's a little bit tough to remove this. It looks like there's some clips, so I gotta go around from the bottom and then down towards the side. And it's still somewhat holding. There we go. So we got that out. Here you can see there's a screw hidden under here. So if you don't take these out, then you're going to not be able to remove the cover. So again, same thing. I'm using my fingernail. You can use plastic pry tools if you want. Get under there, pry this up. Okay, go around the side, same thing, pry that up. Okay, once you get both the side and the bottom out, then you can go ahead and kind of lift this and kind of wiggle it a little bit. Right, just move it around and try and get it to release. There are clips down here as well, I believe, but if you move it around and wiggle it, you can pop it out just like that. There we go. Okay, so again, there's another screw down here as well, so we're going to remove both these screws. All right, one here. Again, keep all these screws in order. They are different size, shape, and lengths. If you mix them up, you can damage your computer. Most of the screws actually look very similar, but some of them are different, so just be careful with that. Okay, I think the 2 main ones are the silver ones here and the 2 underneath the CD drive. The rest look to be about the same, but again, I always like to keep the screws in order and put the same screw where I got it. Alright, so now we got all those screws out. What we're going to do, we have to gently, carefully open up the screen. You want to be careful because now there's less screws holding down the hinges, so the hinges aren't going to be holding as strong. Alright, so now that we got this open, what I like to do to open these kinds of computers is, let me see if I can show this. So in here, you can see there's the gap, so I get my fingernails in there. Let me actually close the screen a little to show this better. Okay, so I get my fingernails in that gap and I use my thumbs on the back here to push on it. All right, so let's actually close this a bit more to make this easier for leverage. Right, it's like this, and I basically pull it out, pry it out like that. Okay, just like this. Okay, let's see, sometimes they're more difficult, so just like that. Again, you can use pry tools if you want, but this is the easiest way to do it. Some people don't like that I use my fingernails, but whatever, it makes my job easier. I don't care if you don't like it. If you don't like it, you can use pry tools, but I do what makes my job and my life easier, not what makes other people go, ooh, your nails aren't so long. Like, but not as many people complain about it anymore, but let's go ahead and continue prying this up. Okay, so again, same thing, we're just working our way around the edge and pulling this cover. Did I miss any screws? No. Okay, there we go. So we'll keep going, and you want to be a little bit careful with the CD drive area, because this part, a lot of times it's gonna like crack on the edge here on these corners. Okay, so just be careful with that. It helps to kind of pull it away from the clip, so the clip is going over the thing like this, so you actually want to pull this plastic piece back out this way as you're kind of lifting it. There we go. Okay, and then usually the back clips are quite difficult to remove, so we got the front ones mostly out. This one actually kind of pulled itself up. You want to be careful here because you are going to end up yanking on the keyboard and trackpad cables, so you don't want to just quickly yank this out. So we're slowly going across, and then I'm again running my fingernail underneath the plastic area here to get those clips out. And here you can see it's mostly up. There's something holding it down on this one corner here. There's probably some clips hiding under there because I don't see any other screws. Okay, so we're just going to have to carefully lift this and see if we can undo that clip. The problem is we don't know which way the clip's going, so you kind of have to experiment sliding it, pushing it different directions, and trying to just pull on it. Usually it will just pop out if you pull it hard enough, but I don't want to use too much force and then risk breaking something. So let's turn it this way and see if I can show you what it looks like underneath. Okay, so you can see it's mostly out already, but for some reason this one edge here is stuck. There we go. Okay, all right, I accidentally clipped back down the back area, so let's go ahead and go back here. Same thing, run my fingernails along there and unclip that, and there we go. So we got this, and let me see if I can show the keyboard thing. So, okay, so the keyboard connectors, whoa, what is that? Oh, they put some tape on there. I thought it was like a spider web or something. Okay, so let's get rid of this piece of tape on this corner. Okay, so here you can see the keyboard connector here and the trackpad connector here. So it's a little bit hard to see. Okay, but essentially what you want is these clips here. You want to flip these clips up. Okay, hopefully you can see. I just use my fingernail like this. Flip that clip, and then once you flip that clip, you can pull the cable out. Same thing with the keyboard one. There's this clip here. Just flip that over. Okay, once you flip that over, then you can pull this out. There's random, oh, that's why they use tape. This little piece of plastic came out. I'm going to use some super glue instead. But there we go, we got those. Oh, there's one more connector here for the power button. So again, you want to be careful not to just quickly yank this stuff out. All right, so there's a little latch down here. You can't really see it because the cable's in the way, but same idea as the trackpad one. Flip that latch, and there you go. All right, so this design sucks. I am going to have to take the entire motherboard out to even get to the fan. As you can see, the fan is right here, but it's trapped underneath. So this fan, you can see it's not good, because normally when the fan is good, after it stops spinning, it like wobbles like this. But when I do it, instead it like slowly turns back, and that's not good. All right, so I'm gonna have to clean up this stuff. So I'm gonna brush off the dust and then using my electric blower to blow it out, and I'll be back. All right, I'll see you guys in a bit. All right, so I'm back, cleaned out some of the dust. Let's zoom out here. Oops, this cover keeps sticking back in there really easily. Okay, so there we go, clean this out a bit. Now we're going to have to remove the motherboard here, so let me set this aside. Okay, so we got the charge port here. I'm not gonna remove stuff I don't need to, so I'm gonna try and just do mainly the charge port. One thing I forgot to mention, which I'm actually going to do right now just to be safe, is after removing the battery, you want to actually press and hold the power button for 10 to 15 seconds to drain any power, to make it safer to work on the computer. So let me do that real quick. I'm going to get this power button cable back in. It's really hard to do this at these weird angles to try and keep it in the camera, so I don't know. I don't know if you guys are even going to be able to see this well because it's... Alright, so I'm going to press and hold the power button now, 10 to 15 seconds. Again, this helps, this will drain the power from the motherboard so that there's less chance that the capacitors will risk getting damaged if you short something out. Okay, so that should be good. Alright, let's go ahead and pop that connector back out. Just like that. Alright, we're going to set this aside. Okay, so now, I don't know if I'll be able to keep everything in view. I'll try. So there's a bunch of connectors here. I'm not 100% sure what's what. This goes to the battery connector, of course. So we're going to flip that latch up and we're going to take this connector out. Okay, we got this speaker connector here. Let's go ahead and wiggle this out. I just use my fingernails and just walk the wings slowly side to side until it comes out. All right, we got the optical disk drive connector here. Flip that latch up, get this connector out. We got the hard drive connector here. We're going to flip this latch up and get that connector out. All right, then we got this connector here for the USB port, the headphone jack, and the, what do you call those? The lights, indicator lights or whatever. All right, so if you want to replace the hard drive, you disconnect that cable. You can actually leave this cable in, but it makes it a little bit easier or safer to work on if you disconnect this. All right, once you get that cable out, you can actually lift the hard drive out from this side. You can't lift it out from this side. So you go from this side and you lift it up at an angle like that. Once you get it up, you can actually slide this backwards this way and pull this out. So this thing is not actually held in with any screws. It just have these little rubber pegs that stick out that go into the hard drive. So if you're going to replace your hard drive, you'll just transfer that over and then put that into the computer. And then as far as removing the SATA connector here, so there's a 2.5-inch SATA hard drive. You can put a 2.5-inch SATA SSD in its place, but the way I remove them is I use my fingernail here and I use leverage to kind of just pop it that way. Ew, it's kind of sticky. But anyways, to remove that, if you can't lift it that way, if you can pull it slightly, it helps to use a thin tool in here in this gap, and you can use that to pull the connector out just like that. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and put this back. This, I don't know why there's this masking tape there, but it's kind of gross. Anyways, we're gonna slide this piece back in this way. All right, that side first, and then we're gonna go ahead and push the back side down. These little feet should rest in those grooves. Okay, so we're gonna leave that out. All right, let's see what's next. We got the wireless card here. Okay, let me zoom in to make this a little bit easier to see. So we're going to remove the wireless antennas. So I just use my fingernails here. You can use tweezers or whatever, and you get as close to the tail as you can where it connects, and then just kind of pull it straight up. You might have to wiggle it a little bit, but just pull that up. Okay, just like this. All right, we're gonna go to the other side. Same thing at the tail, and then just pull this up. Okay, just like that. All right, so if you want, you can mark it. For some reason, they put the black cable here and then they put the white cable at that. So what I'm gonna do, I mean, they put little stickers to show it as well, the 1 and 2, but I'm gonna mark this here so I know that that one goes to the black one there. All right, they actually label it on here. Usually the black arrow is the main, but in this case they put the black one as auxiliary, so it's kind of weird they switched it around. All right, let's remove this screw. Okay, once you take that screw out, then you can lift the wireless card up, and then you kind of want to wiggle it and slowly pull it back just like that. All right, we'll set that aside for now. Again, keep track of all the screws. All right, then you got the, let's go over here, LCD Lvds connector right here. We're going to flip this latch up. All right, just like that, and then we can go ahead and pull this connector out. You have to kind of lift it up slightly and then pull it back. It looks like there's some adhesive holding it on too, so it's a little bit tough. Then you got this connector here. This is probably for the microphones or the camera, so we're gonna go ahead and remove this as well. Okay, so I just kind of try and grab the wings and wiggle it as I kind of pull it, but as you can see, there's not much leverage there, so we might have to actually grab the connector itself and then kind of just wiggle this as we slowly pull. Actually, is there a tape there? Oh, there's a clear adhesive thing here. I didn't see that. So you can actually use this to kind of help pull it back, but again, you kind of have to, you want to wiggle it as you pull, and eventually it just pops out. You don't want to use too much force just yanking it out, because if you do that, there's a good chance you'll just tear the cable. All right, then you got the charge port connector here. It is trapped underneath the hinge here. I'm not going to take the hinge out. I'm just going to disconnect this cable, but I'll do that after I actually lift the motherboard up. So let's zoom out and let's take out the motherboard screws. Okay. Okay, so the motherboard has one screw here. They actually put these white arrows to point at where the screws came from, so that way it helps you remember where you took the screws from. Again, try and keep the screws in order. It's a good practice in case the screws are different size, shapes, or lengths, because if you put the wrong one in the wrong spot, you can actually damage your computer. All right, so there's another screw down in this corner. I think that's all I see. There's only 3 screws holding down this part of the motherboard, so let's see if we can lift it out. Okay, we're gonna slowly lift this up. You want to be careful. All right, go gently, slowly, carefully. All right, so we got this connector here for the charge port. I'm gonna flip it so you can kind of see. Here you can see the connector there. I don't know if I can zoom into this to show how I remove it, but let's see if I can. All right, so we got that. Again, I'm just going to grab the connector, and you want to be careful with the motherboard. Make sure that you're grounded so that it won't get damaged from static. Okay, and then we're going to just grab this connector and kind of just wiggle it as we slowly pull, and there we go. Okay, so we got the motherboard out. Here you can see there's not really anything else in here. If you want, you can clean this up if it's dirty. It looks pretty clean after blowing out the dust. There is some dust underneath on the fan, so we will have to clean that out. I'm going to set this aside. Okay, so let's see here. I'm going to clean this out. Let me get a trash can and brush the dust into there. Okay, so on the bottom of the motherboard here, you can actually see the BIOS or the Cmos battery. Some people will call it the real-time clock battery or RTC battery. Then you got the 2 sticks of RAM. So the RAM, they come out, you just pull these 2 tabs to the side, it pops up. Once it pops up, you can pull it out. And here you can see it's PC3L 12800S, so this is DDR3 memory. You can put any size stick you find, just make sure it's PC3L 12800S. I think this goes up to an 8 gig stick, so maximum 16 gigs of RAM. And as you can see, there's some dirty stuff on this pin here, so usually what I like to do is I like to clean this off, but make sure again that you are grounded. All right, so just wipe it off like that. Some people don't like that I do that. In my videos, they'll say that I'm gonna damage the sticks of RAM. I've never had RAM stop working because I did that, so it's not really an issue. All right, so make sure get it in at this angle like that, and then you just lower it down like that. So same thing with the other one, the RAM, basically same thing. Actually, there's an 8 gig stick, so they should actually replace this with another 8 gig stick to get 16 total. I don't know, they try to save a few dollars by putting uneven amounts of RAM, which is kind of weird, but yep, this is PC3L 12800S 8 gig. All right, so this computer actually has 12 gigs total, so we're gonna put that in at the angle like that. All right, let's see, can we take out this fan without taking the heatsink out, because I don't want to have to redo the thermal paste if I don't have to. Let's go ahead and undo this screw here. Okay, once we got that screw, can we lift this out? Yes, we can. All right, so we got the fan out. So the fan connector, same as the other ones. I just grab it and I kind of just wiggle it as I pull on it, and it should eventually pop out. You do have to use a little bit of force, but there we go. Okay, so we got that. There's some dust trapped under there, so it's good that we removed the fan. Okay, you can see there's a lot of dust built up there. That's partially what messes up the fans. It's usually very fine dust that gets into the bearing or the grease, the sleeve, and then it loses its lubrication, and then it just gets stuck. So here we go. The CPU is soldered to the board, so you can't replace that. That's the CPU is the motherboard, in case anyone's like wondering. Okay, so now let's see if we can fix this fan. So the fan looks like this, and oh, this one is really easy to remove, so that's nice. So this fan, it doesn't have anything really holding it in place. As you can see, the fan just after lifting it out, it's already a little bit better. But what we're gonna do is clean up the old grease and put some new grease in there. So got that. We're gonna clean the dust out of here. Okay, I'm gonna clean the dust from here. I just use the toothbrush and brush all the fins. I'm doing this over a trash can so it doesn't go all over. All right. Doesn't need to be perfect. There we go. Okay, so we're just gonna get like a small piece of paper towel and we're gonna wipe the I don't know what you would call that, the shaft, I guess, the rotor, I don't know what you would call that. Anyways, here you can see the grease is there. Okay, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna get some new oil. You don't want to use cooking oil or anything. People always ask me. Anything that's designed for lubricating for like something that's constantly moving, that's what you want. So I'm just using some synthetic motor oil. If you don't have oil, but you have a car, you can check with your family, or if it's your car, and you can pull the dipstick out of your car of the oil where you check through your oil, and you can just get a drop from there. But yeah, any oil that's designed to lubricate stuff that moves a lot, you can use. You can also use oil that's like for one of those hair cutting things, or the shavers. I guess you can put that. I haven't really tried that, so I don't know how long it would last, but this, usually using the motor oil like this, works really well. So here you can see the fan, it spins so much nicer, and then at the end of the spin it kind of just wiggles instead of slowly moving backwards. Okay, so as long as the motor didn't get damaged from constantly being messed up, then we should be okay. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to clean the oil off, and then I'm going to put a little more just to kind of like rinse out the old stuff that's in there. Okay, all right, or dilute it. So when the oil gets old, it kind of turns like gunky after it's been like in the air too much. So you can kind of see it like actually on this bottle. I've been using this bottle of oil for a while. And if you look at on the outside of the bottle, there's all this gooey stuff there. So usually, actually this motor oil, it's pretty good. So it doesn't turn like all gooey and stuff, but dust is just sticking to it. So it's actually still nice and lubricating. So that's why it works really well. If you use cooking oil, I don't know if you notice, but cooking oil that's been sitting for a while, it turns very gooey. And that gooiness will basically stop up your fan. So that's why you don't want to use cooking oil. All right, so we'll put that. All right, and here you can see the fan, it spins so much better. Spins nice and free. And then once the fan comes to a stop, you can see it like wobbles like this, back and forth multiple times. That's how you know the fan is really nice, well lubricated. All right, so we're gonna get this fan, put that back. Make sure you get the connectors the right way. It has these little notches in it. Make sure you line that back up. You don't want to put the pins on this side facing the, so the side that you can't see the pins will be facing the processor or the heatsink here. All right, so we're going to push that back. The way I push that back, I use my fingernails or my fingertips at the sides, and then I just pop that down. You want to be careful because the board is kind of raised up and it flexes a bit, so you don't want to do this on a soft surface where it flexes too far, and then you can actually break your motherboard that way. All right, so get the fan line back up, get the screw back into place. Okay, I'm squeezing the fan and this together to try and keep them closer together, but it looks like it keeps a gap anyways, a small gap. If you're wondering how to remove the Cmos battery, I usually use a small flathead screwdriver and I push it this way as I kind of lift it up. You can use like a plastic tool to be extra safe, or something wooden, but basically there's a spring here, so you need to kind of slide the battery that way and then pull it up. It helps to also, you can use a magnet to help lift it out, but I'm not going to remove that because we don't have any issues with the BIOS, so we're going to leave that as is. Okay, so there's the motherboard done. Fix the fan. Let's go ahead and reassemble it. So we're going to put this back here. Okay. The only tricky part here now is making sure all the cables that were on it before end up back on top. All right, we're going to plug this thing back in first. So let's see, which way did this go? So this goes that way. Okay. So if you're plugging it in upside down like this, like how I'm doing it, you want the exposed pins to be up. All right. If you put it, actually both sides have the pins. So what you want is, this one has these little plastic notches. Let me see. I don't think I can zoom in because there's too much stuff in the way. Let's try it. Actually, I can. Okay, let's zoom in here and see if you can see that. So on this side of the connector, you can actually see there's these plastic raised bits. So we're going to use that to line up the motherboard, and then you just pinch the two pieces together, just like that. Get everything lined up, and there we go. All right, then we flip this back over. Again, you want to make sure all these cables end up back on top. Let me zoom out and show this. All right. Okay, make sure all these cables end up back on top. Of course, you don't want your cables to be trapped underneath because then you can't plug them back in, right? You want to be careful with all these little raised plastic parts that help line up the thing, right? Get everything lined up. Slowly drop it down into place. Okay. There we go. And make sure all these little raised plastic mounts, let me zoom out some more. So all these little raised plastic mounts need to hold the motherboard in the right position. That's how you know it's all lined up properly. Okay, and let's start putting back the screws. So we're going to put this one with the arrow first. Okay. Then we're going to get this one here, put that one in. Oh, actually, sorry, this one goes here. So they have extra screw spots where it shows arrows, but you don't put the screws in all of them. So if you want, you can mark it with marker on the copper area, but this one here, this one in this corner, and then I think it was this one down in this corner. See, they have all these little screw holes, but there's nothing to hold the screw there. Those actually go through the bottom of the motherboard, okay, from the other side. So there we go. Let's put the wireless card back in here. So wireless card also goes in at this angle like that. All right, it's hard for me to see what I'm doing from this angle. Normally you would look from the other side, but get that in, okay. Put that back down. Right, make sure that's in all the way. Get the screw in. Okay, wireless antennas. Let me actually zoom in so you can see all the connectors, how I reconnect them. If I can show that, okay. All right, so we're gonna plug this connector in first. Right, get that lined up. And then I like to use the wings again to help pull that. It helps also to pinch both the connector on the board and the connector that's going in. So that way you're not putting all the stress on the connector that direction. All right, so let's lift this connector back up. Make sure this flap is up. Okay, and then we're gonna get this connector in. You have to kind of pull it back a little. It's a little tricky because the adhesive, if you want, you can actually peel the adhesive up to make it easier. But let's just get that in. There we go. Make sure it's all lined up. Put that latch down. You'll know it's right because the white line that goes across is actually covered. All right. Now we got the speaker connector here. Same thing. Pinch the two. Okay. Then we got this connector for the battery. Get that lined up. Get that in. Flip that latch down. There we go. Wireless antennas. Make sure these are lined up. So the way you know it's lined up, if you get it in properly, then if you try and tug it sideways, it stays in place. That's how you know it's good. And then you can go ahead and push that down. All right, let's get the white antenna, same thing, line it up, and then push that down. There we go. Okay, let's go ahead and start working down here. Optical disk drive, make sure the latch is up. Okay, since we flipped it upside down, we accidentally pushed all the latches back down. There we go, get that in, flip that latch down. Now we get the hard drive and the USB port audio jack board. All right, get that in, flip that latch down, get this in, and flip that latch down. If there's some dirt on it, just clean it off. Okay, get that latch in, there we go. Flip that down. Okay, so next we got to put back the keyboard, trackpad, power button thing. All right, I showed how to do the power button already. Again, it's tricky to show this on camera. I'll do what I can, but we'll see. All right, so make sure this latch, oops, make sure that latch is flipped down. I'm gonna do the power button first. Okay, just because it's further down here, so we gotta do that one to make it easier. Kind of have to, I'm lifting this up slightly. I'm not letting it rest down on the screen to make it so I have more slack. All right, hold that in place and then flip the latch up. Okay, now you can go ahead and let that down a little bit. All right, keyboard connector here. It's kind of dusty, so let's clean that off. All right, same thing here. Just get that all lined up. All right, you can use the blue tab to help push it into place. Okay, it feels like it's crooked, but I don't know, it's kind of weird. The tabs look okay, but it feels crooked, so we're just gonna, okay, flip that latch over. I don't know why it seems a little bit crooked, even though the wings are in right, but I guess we'll just leave it be. Flip that latch down. All right, trackpad connector, same thing. This one, oh, I don't want to drop that. Okay, so this one's a little bit tricky to show. Hold that latch up. There's some dust on it. Okay, and then get that connector in. Somebody's calling me. Better finish this soon. All right, once you get that, flip the latch down. And there we go. We got all of those back together. Let's go ahead and put this back in. So get this line back up. Okay, and then clip all of these back into place. All right, these back clips here. Then go around the sides, clip all of that. Just squeeze both parts together. You want to be careful not to squeeze too hard over the fan vent area. You don't want to break those plastic areas. Okay, clip all of this. And then the center had some clips, so just push that down as well. All right, slowly close the hinge back down. All right, let's flip this over. Make sure that these are clipped in as well. Okay, there we go. Looks good. And let's go ahead and put back all the screws. So I'm going to start with the PH0 or JS0 just because I only need that once. And let's go ahead and put these 2 screws in. Okay. Just like that. All right, now before we forget, get the PH1 or JS1. And we're going to put the screws that were hidden under here first. I think, was it that one? Okay, so it's this one. These help hold the hinges in place. Okay, so that one. And then the other one over here. Okay, there we go. Now let's go ahead and put these plastic brackets back in. Just get it lined up. Clip back in this side first, okay? Same opposite of how we removed it. So this side in first. Once you clip that, you can go ahead and clip that down. Same thing with this one, okay? Clip this side in first, get that lined up, and then work your way down over to the outside and clip that in. There we go. All right, let's start putting back all these screws. So we had one screw over here. Okay, we can go ahead and put the CD drive or optical drive back in. Make sure you don't put it upside down, of course. All right, then the first silver screw here, the hidden one, we'll put that in. Go ahead and put the adhesive stuff back down and put the rubber piece back into place. Okay. If you're opening this, I highly recommend upgrading to an SSD. It makes a huge difference. You'll want to clone your hard drive before opening it up. Sorry, I'm saying it so late. You might have already done this. Excuse me. But anyways, let's go ahead and finish putting back all the screws. So yeah, if you're curious how to do that, I have a video on how to clone the hard drive. So if you need that video, just let me know and I'll send it over to you. Otherwise, you can search my channel, like how to clone, and just search "it's been repaired." You'll find it. All right, so let's get the silver screw in again. Flip this adhesive back over there. Okay, put that rubber piece back in. And that's pretty much all there is to this. And if you want, just to be safe, you actually want to power it up before you put back all the screws. Because if you miss something or if the RAM is loose, then you're gonna have to take it all apart again. For me, I don't mind. It doesn't take me that long. It takes longer when I'm actually recording. So if for some reason I miss that, then it's okay. Anyways, yeah, we're just gonna put back all the screws, and that's pretty much all there is to this. I'm gonna show after this that the fan error or warning message went away. But if this video helped you, make sure to like and subscribe. Share my channel with others so that they can also learn how to fix their devices. If this video helped you save a bunch of money, please consider throwing a little my way. Every little bit helps. Even $1 is greatly appreciated. And yep, thanks for watching. You're welcome to stay while I put back the rest of the screws and then show that the fan warning is gone. But other than that, we're good to go. All right. So I'm going to put back all the screws. I got parts for 2 other repairs that I need to do. One, I kind of did the video already without the parts, so I'm probably not going to show that in the video. But the other one, actually the other one I did a video already as well, so those won't be new videos. I'm not going to record those. Okay. And that's all there is to it. Let's put the battery and let's make sure that the fan warning is gone. If the fan warning isn't gone, then something is wrong with the motor. And all right, make sure you lock this. Oops, sorry, I did that off camera. But basically the battery, just put it at that angle. All right, get it all lined up. And sometimes it doesn't line up right, so you might have to move it around. Make sure this is in unlock position and click that into place. Push that to lock. Alright, let's power this up and make sure the fan warning is gone. Oops, I didn't click all these clips into place. There we go. Okay. Alright, let's power it up. And let's see. There we go. It gives the battery warning. The fan already sounds way better. I don't hear the sound it was making before. So once this battery warning goes away, come on. There we go. And it should boot up. Yep. Alright, so that's pretty much all there is to this. Again, hopefully this video helped you guys. Like, subscribe, share my channel with others. Thank you for watching. I'll see you all in the next one. Alright, let's drop this. Bye.